What is up? Welcome back to the SuperCoach Experience podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Savage, the coach of the Xavier Turbos. We are struggling in SuperCoach, but we're here to deliver the best SuperCoach information for you and your teams. If you're doing well, you're doing not very well, we're going to do it because we are back. We have just missed the mark very early with our SuperCoach teams, but Timmy, we've reflected and we're back for vengeance. I'm joined by the coach of the Villi Army, Tim Moody.
What's up, brother? What's up? It's been a tough week. It's been a tough 2 weeks. Started off okay. The first 2 rounds weren't too shabby. I think it was in 13,000 after 2 rounds and then dropped to like 33,000 the week prior after the carnage of Cleary. And then this week with Turbo as a captain, not much else going right for me. Another poor week. And I did sort of flag that I thought this was going to be a bit of a tough week for me to get ahead or try catch up purely based on the thinness of my squad with a few injuries like Connor Watson, Skelton, etc. And the, Newcastle Knights guys on the bye. The wet sort of kind of helped though, I think. It was kind of a blessing in disguise. It kind of made it potentially not be as bad as what it could have been. Surprised by how a lot of the average scorers still all sort of got 50 in my side. Lucky thing was played Shibasaki. That helped. That was it was either him or Purdue, and I was a big decision on it because Purdue's been looking all right, and he still played an okay game. He was a couple of line breaks there for himself. But yeah, that one helped because I scored 1,028, I think it was, which was a very bad round still, dropping me down to 44,000th. We're very close in rank. Mikey and myself are exactly the same rank with exactly the same total points. And our teams couldn't be any different, mine and Mikey's, which is any more different. It's crazy. So, yeah, have been a little bit down over the last couple of weeks, but feeling really positive about the fact that there is an opportunity to bounce back now. I do feel pretty good about the squad. Going to make some good moves this week. We'll get into trades and things that I didn't do last week and things that I did do this week. But yeah, Gutho came in for me last week as well as Tui Pelotu. Didn't get Tino, but we'll touch on that in the trades this week.
You're happy with the Gutho trade?
Yeah, I like Gutho as an option moving forward. And bringing them in, I was really awkward. I was going to boost last week, and neither of them were in my trade plans, which I can touch on that maybe later in this week's trades. But just with the price, the money they were going to make, regardless, I didn't want to pay up for them this round, and I really wanted them for this Parramatta matchup, the Gutho revenge match, and next week's quite good as well. I think it's the Titans. So, and for the most part, the draw's pretty good. So, yeah, pretty happy with those. I would have liked them to score a little bit more. Hoping for Gutho to get maybe a 70 and Tui Pelotu a 50 just to sort of not slow the cash growth too much, and to obviously put a few more points on the board. But, yeah, it is what it is. And, yeah, Cleary's coming back this week. I've only got 2 guys on the bye this week, the Wars, Metcalf and Leotawa. Probably going to sell Metcalf, so only just the one.
Yep.
So feeling pretty good about this week. I'm not going to, make any promises to myself that, this is a bounce back week, but I feel like it's an opportunity and I'm going to do my best to, grab it with 2 hands.
I guess for myself, there were 2 decisions on the weekend that really stung me. One of them was the Tom Trbojevic captain, 23 points. I saw footage of him before the game, knee braced up, and I was already thinking, just based off the injury, go the safe option in Terrell May. I said it multiple times in chats, and I feel like I just wanted someone to tell me, yes, let's do it. Someone actually did message me saying, hey, are we going to do it? So, it was up to me to pull the trigger. I pulled the trigger about a minute out, and then I changed it back, and then I changed it back, and then I changed it back, and I kept it lingering on Tom Trbojevic because I was like, I didn't want to miss out on a big score in case he got it.
It was a risk either way, I felt. It was a risk that it turned out to what it was because I think deep down in my gut, I thought, as much as they said, oh, he's all right, we've seen this play out before.
Yeah.
And it played out just, worst case scenario, basically. It sucks. For me particularly because I was so big on selling Turbo a week prior, and I sold Garrick instead, and that was a huge swing because had I sold Turbo, I kept Garrick, I get that big 153.
Bro.
There's also that cash swing because he's now gone up at least 100K, Garrick.
He's 780.
Yeah, Turbo drops 100, and I wouldn't have played Turbo this week for a captain because I wouldn't have had him there. So it just the amount of these things really add up. And
but how crazy is the swing compared to the decisions you had to make? It's only 2 decisions.
yeah,
But
they compact.
created that swing.
And
so
it will still have a bleed-on effect to some effect. Hopefully, some way or another, I get lucky in reverse, when maybe Garrick head high someone this round and gets 10 in the bin or something. I don't want to risk injury on him or anything like, but maybe you can head high someone that's not too much of contact for the opposition.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because this time last year, or towards the end of the year last year, you probably made the decision that you made that you didn't make this. That you didn't make this year, like vice versa, but it burnt you the other way.
Yeah, back in Turbo last year, I decided to not back him in the back
exactly.
end.
So it could go either way, and you just don't know unless you're in them 4 walls. Just knowing what's inside Turbo's head, Turbo would have wanted to play. But
lesson from this though is you have to back your gut.
Yeah,
you have to back your gut. And I had a really strong gut feeling that week that I should sell Turbo.
Yes, you did.
But everyone was bleeding out. You can't sell him for the para match. You can't. And the head noise was so strong. I was like, man, I'm going to sell Turbo. He's going to put up a 200 and it's going to, and I'm going to be so down from it. But the flip side is, if you just back your gut and it does turn out that way and you go, well, at least I backed my gut. And, it hurts, but you backed your gut. If you don't back your gut like I didn't and I go, I'll sell Garrick instead and I'll hold Turbo, and then you get stuffed from it. That's when it really hurts.
I think that's why on the weekend I was so torn because it was just that was what my gut was telling me. But I looked at Para's lineup and I'm like, this is a weak lineup. Like Turbo should go massive here, even if he is on one leg. But
so gonna trust my gut.
Let's stop dwelling on the past, all right? Because I'm trying to move on, but you keep.
Sorry, it's been big. It's been big.
It's okay. We need to speak our feelings so we can get over them. So. So in round 5, leading into round 5, I'm just below 50,000th. You're 44,000th. That takes us 400 points from 1,800th. So it is very doable. We're only 400 points from 1,800th.
Why 1,800th?
Well, because that was the highest ranked person in the league I was looking at. So.
Oh, in our league?
In one of our leagues.
Okay,
so 1,800th is a
weird rank to pick up.
I know,
pick the top, the 1,000th or from first.
Yeah,
or from,
I know. No, but I looked at one of the leagues we're in. We're 400 points from that.
That's okay. Well, that's positive.
We are 700 points from first.
Yeah. Well, for me, I'm not overly I'm not ruling out you can't win. I'm not trying, but for me, that's not a goal now. A goal for me is.
It is.
For me, a goal is just to come back.
Yes.
Very, very strong. And, for anyone that's, put a line through me and said he's gone for the season or, he's shot, hopefully I can prove them wrong.
Yes. But that takes me to where I was trying to go. So with how far we are from 1,800th and first rank-wise, we're not that far points-wise. And we've never had a start like this where it's been so poor. And I think, but, I mean, you did claw your way back. But I think this is our time to prove it.
Catch up footy, man.
Round 5, I'm 50,000th nearly on the dot. You and Mikey are 44,000th. We're setting a goal of top 1,500 for the end of the year, and that's going to be.
Where's Graham?
Sorry,
where's Graham?
He acts like he's lower than us, but I think he's like top 10,000 probably.
I can't find him.
I'm not sure. So we're going to aim for the top 1,500. We're going to aim for the top 500. But 1,500 is the goal.
I would like to do better if I can, but I just think first is like crazy.
All right, top 500 is our goal from this point on.
Yep.
And that's going to be the journey that we go on throughout the year. And I know that's a low goal we're setting ourselves compared to our standards, but we're in a position where we could be dead and buried. We could give up, but we're not going to. We're going to put our best foot forward. We're going to reassess. We're going to decide where we went wrong, and we're going to talk about that today. Where have we gone wrong? And this segment is what brings you in a pickle, brought to you by picklebet.com.au. Head over to picklebet.com.au, use the code TURBO, and that is all I have to say with that. But what is your biggest pickle in your side that you need to fix at the moment?
Yeah, I feel like there's two players in my side that are kind of costing me that I just don't feel like I can move on at the moment, particularly one of them, like Isaiah Yeo. He at 730K to start the season, started with a 90 score. Then I believe it was a 40, a 56 and a 60. So really kind of underwhelming for the last 3 rounds. And for the eye test, it's been for me very much a distributing role. And that's been there when Cleary has been there as well, but more so when he's, was HIA and knocked out and not there last week. But I'm just concerned that the workload's not there, and I just don't know where the points are going to come from. Gets through, tackles, but for a guy that's in the middle, he's not really making as many tackles as I would hope. I'd want maybe like another 8 to 10 tackles out of him in 80 minutes. And then, just the runs are down as well because of the distributing and the upside of the attack there. So he has dropped almost 100K. His BE's now 80-ish. So I just feel like it's probably he's lost his money and I just keep him there for the moment. But that's annoying. I feel like having that there without the upside, it's potentially capping my ability to do well each week. Also, Brimson, just on the eye test, really off him as well. He scored 2 tries last week for a 60. The week prior and also last week, I'm just watching him the whole time and he's just not getting involved in the game. Just like a lot of the genuine halves will sort of have their turn, and the ball goes out the back. It just doesn't happen like that for him. He just doesn't. He sort of chimes in just on the back of things when it's broken play. It just hasn't been happening enough. So he's causing me headaches, but probably a headache for later. I'm just think he's holding me back as well at the moment. And then Tino, not having him in my side, that's another thing. Really was big on starting with him. Then when it got to picking a starting side and round 1 came, I thought, I could just do a little bit more with my starting side. I can pick him up, see how he goes. I was concerned that maybe if it was just a 40, 50-minute start and he wasn't banging the house down, no need to grab him straight away. Scores the 100 to start the season, waited for him on the price rise. When that price rise came, there was bigger fish to fry, which was last week for me. I didn't want to boost to get him because it would have meant I've got Tui Plato and Gutho. So just the only way I would have been able to do that would be had I sold Yo, and I wasn't prepared to do that. So the reason I didn't do that is I was thinking maybe I can sell someone like Hetherington in my side, and that just puts another, strengthens my 17, 18 sort of playable players. So, I'm probably going to have to pass on him again just because of chasing more attacking points, and we'll get to more of that in trades. But I just think with the head highs and, players getting sent to the bin, I think maybe just chasing backs might have more upside, and then also forwards could potentially have more downside if they're one of them that gets sent to the bin for 10. I know it's a bit like, not every forward's getting sent to the bin, but just the way I've sort of looked at it, his price is not going to change too much. And I just think that where I'm at, everyone's got him. Tino I want to talk about too a bit in more detail if we can. I guess it's not that much detail worth it because everyone's already got him and there's not too many people going, should I get him now? There will be some. There's been some in our chats. But I look at him going, unless he scores the try, he looked like he was going for 50, 40. He would probably sub 50.
You've gone off on a tangent because
you asked me what my biggest problems were.
True.
So these are those 2 players and that I have in my side, and also Tino that I don't have in my side.
Yeah,
that's the biggest problems in my side. The rest of it, all the moving pieces are all sweet, but it's just holding on to those guys too long. But Tino for me, I don't know whether I need to grab him now. I just feel like he does look good to score tries. He looks like he had the one where it went a bit above his head. And then he had the one where he actually scored. But, I know the Dolphins are shit, but I've looked into it. The Dolphins haven't let any middle forwards score a try against them yet. Gilbert's out, though, so that's a factor. I've been really looking deep into whether I need to bring him in or not. But, just with the minutes, compared to a lot of the other forwards are putting out 80s to 100s sort of things. Even like I've got Nafahu White, he scored 75, scored the same as Tino this week. Without a try, just had a line break there. So he's banging the house down. So for me, if Tino doesn't score a try, I'm like, he's probably going to get a 50 and I could just sort of let him go for a little bit. But if he does, he's just going to get that little bit further away and he might get to a point where it's like, I can't have him now.
You bring up a good point. because Tino, and it's been the year of the front rowers. I did a post on Saturday just pointing out Adam Fanua-Blake's stats, and all weekend I think I posted about Payne Haas, Adam Fanua-Blake, and Terrell May over the weekend.
Yeah,
all front rowers. Actually, no, it was Tino, Adam Fanua-Blake, and Terrell May. And it's crazy because I missed out Payne Haas there. It is the year of the front rower for sure, and I've never seen a year like this. But you brought up a good point with the NRL cracking down on the high tackles. I think you are right. That's going to take away from the forwards. One of our forwards in our SuperCoach team could get sin binned just because of this rule. Whether that's it depends how they interpret it. Whether it's going to be like if it slips and hits them in the head, or whether it's intentional.
They're gonna anything, any head contact. I think it's gonna be wild.
Potentially. So if you don't own Tino, it's probably worth just holding off at least for a week or two. Like, I don't see him as a must-have. Like, did score 77 with the line break and try, but I think as the rounds go on, this trend of the forwards doing really well isn't going to keep up. Like, front rowers don't perform like this all year. They get banged up. They're the first people to put their body through the ringer. I think the backs really start to dominate now, and I think this rule is going to be the first sign of the backs coming back into play.
It's interesting timing because everyone's sort of just come to the realisation, hey, we should probably just be safe here and captain our captains.
Yeah.
But, yeah, if your captain's one of the guys that gets, 10 in the bin and then loses the points for that and misses the extra time on the field, that could hurt a little bit. And then there's the swing of, if it does go down to 13 on 12, the backs are going to have an absolute field day if in that attacking side. So it's all a bit of luck knowing, you're not even going to know which games it's going to be. But, yeah, I think that's sort of something to look at for sure.
Yeah, 100%. The biggest pickle in my side is my reserves. My depth is tested this week. I've got Jack Williams injured, Tom Gilbert injured, Tom Trbojevic injured. I've got Emre Gula suspended. I've got...
That sucks,
yeah. And
lengthy too.
Metcalf on a bye. So at the moment, it looks like I'll play Tamale, Shibasaki, Toya, and Jenkins, if I get Jenkins, that is.
I think that's okay.
And I think that's okay just based on everyone's ownership and stuff. That's the biggest pickle in my side. And another one is going Gula over Nafahu White, who is now 500K. Gula suspended for 3 weeks, 360K. So that's a massive swing right there, which could have ended differently. But I'm pretty happy with how my side is shaping up. And I think moving forward, I'm ready to at least score with the pack or more than the pack now. So
yeah, I feel like that too. I hope so anyway.
Yeah. So we've already talked about Tino. Let's go over the team list and then talk about the most relevant SuperCoach topics moving into the week. We haven't even talked about the Tom Trbojevic injury and the potential replacements. We do have a segment on that, so don't worry. The Raiders versus the Sharks on Thursday night. For the Raiders, not much is happening there, but for the Sharks, Kale Iro is out, who has been a SuperCoach immortal this year, scored every single game, but he's injured now. I was looking at getting him in last week. Glad I didn't, because that just would have been my luck. He's out. Talakai is out. So Hiroti goes into the centres. Owen Paddy is still on the bench, and I think that's a talking point with Tom Starling. Is he going to bite into some more minutes depending on how the game goes? Penrith play the Cowboys on Friday night. Nathan Cleary is back. Tom Jenkins, Cheapie of the week, keeps his centre position. Casey McLean is back on the wing. We've got IPAP, who is on the edge because Sorensen is out. Schneider is number 14. For the Cowboys, we've got Robert Derby playing his third game. Should be one of the cheapies of the week, but probably isn't even getting a mention. Purdue keeps his spot. Kai O'Donnell keeps his spot in the starting side, and there's not much else doing there. For the Rabbitohs versus the Roosters, 8 o'clock on Friday night, Latrell is back in centre. Crazy. What are your thoughts on that?
Probably just a really smart move because Jai Gray's going really well. They seem a little bit light in the centres. It just seems like it allows them to have a stronger side, and it also allows Latrell just to ease back in. He's probably going to have an absolute blinder. I can see him. It's going to be marked up on Robert Toya. I think if the Roosters were smart, I don't think they will do it. I'm not saying that Robbo's not smart. I just don't think that it might not work for him. But I think Mark Nwanga, he's a bigger body, might be a better match for trying to mark Latrell. He's been okay in defence.
Even Dom Young defensively is awful, so that edge is going to get torn to pieces. The left edge for the Bunnies, because Jack White's going to move over to the other side, so Latrell can play left. But or does Latrell play right, so it's easier for him to sweep?
He said left centre in his clip. They said, he said left centre. I don't know what it was. Yeah.
Lockie Hubner is back, which is a blessing for me because I'm holding Jack Williams and Tom Gilbert this week, just for this week, just based on what the trades I'm doing. Yep. So I'll plug him straight in there for a solid 50 points, hopefully. For the Roosters, not much else has changed there. Nafahu White gets his starting spot back, and Connor Watson is back. So they're both good inclusions. Parramatta play the Dragons in the Gartho versus Lomax Cup. Lomax at centre, good option. Dylan Brown and Dean Hawkins in the halves. Riley Smith gets a start with Dylan Walker coming onto the bench. They've dropped their bench 9 in whoever it was. I think it was what's that guy's name? Number 9. Joey Lussick.
Yep.
Joey Lussick is out. He was awful, to be honest.
He's getting the start right.
Yeah, Riley Smith is playing number 9, so it's a pretty good downgrade option potentially.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be hard to do it this week for me, for this bigger fish to fry, but 100%. Hopefully he doesn't go up too much and can do it, Yep.
Toby Couchman for the Dragons is starting with Clemmer with the Gula out. Blake Laurie, Hamish Stewart, and Dylan Egan on the bench. Dylan Egan is another watch for next week.
Broke his face, didn't he? Or was it,
who?
Or was it Stewart? Did you say Stewart meant to be out?
No, Gula is out.
Hamish Stewart, though, I heard something happened to him. I thought he had an injury.
Nope.
I swear there was an injury for him last week. Yeah, but there was something. I swear he had a facial injury or something last week.
He might have just got whacked in the face. But Dylan Egan is another option. Scored 47 last week in 49 minutes. So I think he's one to watch out for next week. He is available only at second row, so I think that's a bit awkward.
He's really aggressive, sort of like a Martinez.
It's kind of what Geimer looked like last year, except Geimer just.
This guy moves a little bit better, I reckon.
Yeah, a bit more agile. The Titans play the Dolphins. Jalen DeGroot keeps his fullback position. AJ Brimson, Jaden Campbell in the halves. Cleese Haas. Not much else changed there except Chris Randall is in at hooker. Sam Verrills is out. And for the Dolphins, not much SuperCoach-wise there, but Max Plath in at lock. Lemuelu and Finifuaki get a start. Any thing there? Jaden Campbell, very highly traded in this week. We are going to touch on him.
Yep.
But Brimo, are you holding him for this matchup?
Yeah, I'd be happy to sell, but I think if I'm going to sell in 5'8", Metcalf makes more sense with a BE of 70 and then going into the Storm next week. So if you don't sell him this week, you'd probably want to sell him next week before Storm just in case he loses that extra bit of money.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't have to sell him either this week or next week, but feels good.
The Broncos play the Tigers 7:30 on Saturday. Reece Walsh at fullback. Shibasaki, Greg Inglis. Greg.
It's hard to tell them apart.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I'm not sure how to.
The facial hair. Greg Inglis never had that mad sort of.
I'm gonna have to look at that later. But Shibasaki, Cheapie of the Year contender. Jesse Arthurs is still there. Not much with the Broncos, to be honest. But for the Tigers, Adam Dewey is back. Ruled out early with that injury. Luke Luali'i is on the wing, so Gerald Skelton is not even on the extended.
Still held back. Feels better. Guy sold him last week, so you kind of have to sell. You're like, don't come right now, rush him back.
If he's back next week, I can cop it, but if he was back this week, it'd just be like, not ideal, but makes you feel really much better. Luai is out. Latu Fainu in at halfback. So Broncos put on a score here, maybe?
Yeah, potentially. I feel like they could, especially at home as well. That suits. Yeah, Reese's could be a Reece Walsh bounce back game.
Let's hope so.
They have been pretty good, but they
haven't put that team away yet, except for round 1.
Yeah, they do look a bit lighter. Just with I know Skelton's not the biggest. Out, but also with what's his face there too?
Manly play the Storm. Lehigh is at fullback for Tom Trbojevic. Clayton Falalo is on the wing. And not much else doing there. Nathan Brown starts for the Manly Sea Eagles. And for the Storm, Pappenhausen Fullback, obviously, they haven't got much else going on for them. Very popular replacement there for Tom Trbojevic. And the last game, Bulldogs play the Knights. Connor Tracy at fullback. I'm just naming the fullbacks for some reason. I didn't get to do a wrap-up before we started today, so I'm just doing it on the fly. Can we? Yes, we can. Thomas can't. He's in at second row. I'll do that joke too.
Yeah, I was like, can we do that joke one more time? No, we can't. Don't.
Not much else expected there. I think that they've got a debutant, Jermaine McEwen, on the bench. He may have played in the past, but yeah, big week. What do you think is the matchup to look out for this weekend? What are you targeting SuperCoach wise?
Oh, personally, I like the Para matchup. I think with the Dragons there, Dragons are looking pretty good. I feel like Gutho's really going to want that moment. But however, Para have sort of shown a little bit more ticker in the last 2 weeks defensively. But I still think that that's a great game to target. The Titans versus Dolphins, should be a good one as well, being that the Titans are, they are coming last and they're, in my mind, I sort of still kind of think of it as a little bit gritty from last year, but that's sort of fallen away a bit. Those ones really stand out. Hopefully the Panthers match up too. Potential bounce back with Cleary. Those matchups look good to me. The Storm one versus Manly as well, potentially. Like maybe with Manly, I feel like the loss of Paseka is a big loss to them through the middle. And I think that could really affect the side just going forward and getting their sort of roll on, especially against a good side like Melbourne.
Coming off a loss as well. That's so scary.
Yeah. So, that could be one. And just because they're a little bit lighter there.
It is a 4 points though, so I probably wouldn't target that game. But, yeah, I see what you mean. I think maybe the Broncos game could be a game to target. But, very interesting.
I think there's a lot of good matchups this week, yeah.
All right. So one of the big topics of the week, Tom Trbojevic goes down, and it feels like our fullbacks are all over the place. Who are the top 3 fullbacks? I do have a question in the Patreon chat that has to do with this, but replacements for fullbacks. I want to go through them, and I just want to get your slight thoughts on them. At the top of my list, I've got Ryan Papenhuyzen. This isn't like a list in order or anything. It's just at the top of my not metaphorical, literal list.
Okay, yeah.
So number 1, Ryan Papenhuyzen. He has a draw of Manly, Warriors, and Dolphins, so it's a pretty good draw. Manly is probably the tricky one this week. Hopefully we've got better weather this weekend. He's 675K with scores of 131, 66, 65. He scored a try in every game. 2 tries, 1 try, and then 1 try. So I think his floor is a bit low by the look of it.
Yeah, his ceiling's pretty high though too.
Is it? I think 131's his ceiling. Which is pretty
if he
low
gets
for
the
a
kicking,
fullback.
if he's got the kicking comes back to him, it could be anything. You know what I mean? In that Melbourne Storm side, depending, not every single week, maybe not this week against Manly, but I still think there's potential for him to ton up for sure. Their attacks just all around, him finalising that play, whether it's a kick through and him flying through for it, or the inside-outside plays that they've got. There's a lot there for him. I think the attack's definitely going to come. They're one of the best sides. Well, they're the best side. Maybe they're not the best in attack, the most exciting in attack, but they're playing more towards an attacking style of footy than the Storm ever have in the past.
Yep.
So, I think he's a great option, especially at the price still. I think it's great. I leave it to later whether I think he might come into my side or not. But,
I think he, with the draw, Manly, Warriors, and Dolphins is a very good draw. So I think not much can go wrong with him. And with the fullbacks we have available at the moment, he's getting up in ownership. I do like him as an option. I just think
there's a little bit of the injury factor. It does feel like
I just don't feel like
it's gonna happen at some point. I feel like he is. I hate to wish it. I'm not wishing it on him, but
I think all his injuries have been pretty unlucky. They're not like soft tissue injuries or anything like that. But Pappy looks faster than ever. He looks as fit as he ever has been. I think Jerome Hughes being out is a real positive for him. I think he has to take a lot more of the attack on that right side, especially. So we saw he had a try off Elias Katoa on the weekend off that play. Munster did kind of linger into the middle there as well. So that was good to see for Munster owners. But yeah, Pappy, he's that type of fullback that you just want to see him backing up. And I think for years in the past, he hasn't been fit enough to do that constant high percentage, high effort, backing up every single play.
The thing I like about Pappy is you can pretty much back him in consistently every week that it's a good matchup because the Storm are always going to be the better side.
Yeah, that's true.
So they should put more points on the board. They should win the game more often than not. And I know they've been a little shaky as well to start the season, but I think they're obviously the best side. They've got the best spine, and everyone's probably favourites this year as well. So yeah, I think for that factor, that with some of the other guys, it's kind of like, oh yeah, it's an okay matchup, but they don't the team doesn't get it done every week. Whereas I think you can back on the Storm to do it most weeks more than not. And Pappy just always is in it. He's just always the guy that in the back end of the attack scoring points.
100%. Gutho, Para, Gold Coast, and Manly are his next 3 matchups. He has scores of 113, 46, 48. He has 0 tries in that. And he's been the best fullback by a margin. He has no tries. He's playing Para.
I feel like a try's coming this weekend.
Yeah, he's playing Para's old side, so we know there's going to be redemption. He's the most passionate player we've ever seen. I think he's one of the best options. He's $750K at the moment. I actually didn't write his price down.
Picked him up last week. Yeah. It purely nothing for me is ever a 1 week play. But I really like this matchup. And then I think the next one's, great as well. So who was it next? So Para this week. And
Para, Gold Coast, and then Manly.
Yeah, so I think that you don't be put off by last week. Last week was the wet game. It was they still won the game, which is fantastic. I think that that the signs are there. He hit Val Holmes. He'll probably be hitting Tuipulotu more in the wet, in the dry, I should say. So if you've got either one of those, I think that's great. So I think he's definitely up there. In the past, he's not maybe had the upside of some of the others, but we've discussed him in previous pods about how the role is different at the Dragons to what it was at Para.
Yep.
He's the main.
He's the guy.
Yeah, he's the guy. So
and the weather is sunny all weekend, 23 and 24. So we're not going to have any of that happened on the weekend. And so these open games against worse sides are they're going to be a bloodbath if they are going to leak defensively. Reece Walsh, 600K. He has the Tigers, the Roosters, and the Warriors. Scores of 95, 9, 55, and 56. He's bottomed out pretty much with that 9 going out of his average. Haven't loved what I've seen, to be honest, and I think he's had a bit of a case of the yips.
Yep.
But I think that has to do with potentially nighttime. They've played a lot of nighttime games, a lot of wet games. So
a bit better last week, and the wet's not ideal for Reece Walsh. He's the least wet
and
footy sort of
they
player.
play once again 7:30 at Suncorp on Saturday night. So it doesn't get any better coming up.
I think he's a great option too.
Yeah.
He was and has been and still kind of is in my considerations for this week. I just think because a lot of people are off him, there might have been other people that have jumped off him and sold him as well.
Yep.
We'll find it harder to bring him in, and when the scores haven't been that great, it's going to have to work out, isn't it? I think that it will. It'll be good for him, but I just think maybe I feel a little bit more confident in a couple more of the other options. But if I was an owner, I'd be super, super happy to have him. I just feel like to bring him in, I might wait to just see a little bit, just to see it happen. And I know it's there; it's going to happen.
But once it does,
get the timing right. Yeah.
Once it does, you'll be like, okay, now he goes on a run.
Yeah.
You can't really take the punt on someone like Reece Walsh, just hoping he's going to go on a run.
The draw's good, and I think he kind of can.
Yeah, he can, but we've seen in the first 4 weeks, he's had decent matchups. He hasn't really hit the ground running or anything, so I think you've definitely just got to see more signs. I think on the weekend, he improved from the week before. Yeah. The week before, when he scored 55, he had minus 14 in errors. He's kind of getting there and thereabouts, but too many errors, and last week he just didn't even try to chance his arm, so hopefully this week he builds on that. Latrell. Named at centre this week, Roosters, Cowboys, and the Dogs. You did say targeting that Toya edge. Are you tempted at a punt in Latrell coming off a hammy injury?
I have been, and just for me, it's the price. The others are a lot more affordable. It's the first game, and I feel like if he does, kill it, I can sort of reassess and bring him in. I probably will want to have him at some point. I just don't know that I want to do it right now. I think I could maybe make other things work in my side with that cash a bit better over, the next coming weeks. But yeah, really great option. I think he's going to want to come back and really hit the ground running, especially the fact that the side's going really good. So he's got a real reason to.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to just come back and be the champion to win it. He can just slide in and complement, how they've been going. And just on that left side, any time that they're, within 40 metres of the try line, and you'd like me probably not owning him this weekend, going to be real nervous that he's just going to put someone else over or crash over himself. Yep. So, yeah, how big does he look, but fit at the same time?
He looks big and fit and strong.
Yeah.
Kalen Ponga, if you don't have him already, he has the Dogs, Tigers and Cronulla. Probably one of the harder draws. Like Dogs defensively very good. Tigers have defensively not leaked too much. They leaked 26 on the weekend. Cronulla, not a very easy matchup. He has 82, 129 and 45 in his average. I sold him last week based on the buy to get Jaden Campbell into my side. Is he a must to rush back into your side this week?
I don't think he's a must to rush back this week into your side. The BE is about 70, so it's a nice little sweet spot. If he scores well, he's not going to go up too much or anything, and then you can grab him back for the next week when he comes up against the Tigers. The Dogs have shown how, for all last season and for this season now, how good they have been in defence. They just work for each other. They've got great systems, and the fullbacks haven't scored that great though. However, I think it was Gutho. I just sort of looked back on it. Yeah, Gutho scored 128 in his first game against the Dogs. So on that left side, so that's where Ponga traditionally, likes to do his magic. So there's definitely potential for him to still score well. Like if you've got him, I wouldn't be, thinking, I've got to sell him to one of these other guys or anything like that. And if you want to bring him back because, selling Turbo now, you're like, I've got to I'll just get my best three fullbacks. Well, you can lock him in. He'll probably confidently still score decent, hey. So, yeah, he's an elite fullback. Gutho showed that he scored well. I think some of the other fullbacks that played the Dogs haven't been that as elite in SuperCoach. Kinney, 62. He's, pretty people like his SuperCoach form. But then Yongi, 57. Kennedy, 28. So, fullbacks against the Dogs are averaging 68.75 so far. So Ponga, I think, can get at least 68.75 himself. So you can bring him in for sure, especially when the other guys haven't been going berserkers.
Yeah, he's goal kicking as well. They did lose against the Titans the other week. They don't have KPP or Dylan Lucas on the edges, and I think that's really hurting them. Thomas Kant played amazingly when he did.
He's
play,
not Dylan Lucas, though, is he?
Yeah, he's not that hard-running person that really draws in the defenders, so the half can go out the back.
And he's creative too. Like, he's quite creative. Dylan
Exactly.
Lucas.
So, I think, I'm a bit. It's one of my pickles of the week. So.
I feel okay as having sold last week that he's got the Dogs. That feels. I feel good about that. I still think he can still score good, but I don't think he's going to score terrific, you know what I mean? So that's okay.
His
and then
break-even isn't crazy high either, so
assess this week, bring him in next week as your third fullback if that's the way you want to go. If you need to make a decision on the third fullback this week and you think he's the top three guys and the draw's not that bad, after this, grab him,
Yeah, 100%. We've got James Tedesco has the Bunnies, Brisbane and Penrith in the next three, so it's actually a pretty tough draw.
Yeah, the draw's tough.
43, 119, 58, and 83 are his scores. So he has gone under the radar this year. I think he's been really good. But he was the most expensive player in the game.
Still kind of close to it too.
Yeah, I think just to the price and just not knowing how the Roosters are going to do. I've said that all preseason, but he's played much better than the Roosters have as a whole. I like him, but he's probably not someone I want to rush.
If the draw was a little nicer,
if it was better,
I could get around. I probably wouldn't do it, but I'd respect people who are bringing him in and going, I'm going to pay up, and I'd just back him to outscore them and go for it that way. But because the draw doesn't help, the price is not great. Other fullbacks with your lower price have better draws, so I think that's probably the better way to go about it.
Yep. And Scott Drinkwater, Penrith Bunnies and the bye, once again, pretty tricky. I think after the bye, it might be worth looking into, but 72, 65, 52, 76. at 700K, I think I'll wait for the next 2 rounds. Hopefully he gets a price drop and we'll reassess after that. He's goal kicking, so I do like how he's
especially
done
as
that.
it gets closer to Origin as well, and we sort of start to drop off a couple of these guys.
Yep.
That do play Origin, because I know I've got a hell of a lot of them in my side.
For sure. We have our Patreon question of the week that we're going to answer, and this is always going to be strategy based. So we'll have a chat about the strategy. It's by Benjamin Fuser. So because you won the question of the week award, you get to control the Patreon consensus side, which is doing much better than our sides, mind you. It's ranked 19,000th, and the team is in a good spot. It can nearly save trades this week, nearly. So Benjamin Fuser, is the key tactic for the flex position still using 3-gun fullbacks in the slot? Should we be starting to utilize it in a different way? Example, pure cash generation, subbing in the player with the largest negative BE, holding for a few weeks and then cashing them out for the next player with the largest negative BE, or halfway house for bringing in a gun, using it as a spot to sub in a gun early, but waiting for a cow in that position, max out 2 weeks later. Example, bringing in Jaden Campbell this week into flex, waiting for Dewey to get one more price rise, and then trading up to Dewey next week up to someone like Katoa or AFB in a few weeks. Picking the top 3 fullbacks seems to be tricky at the moment, could cost you points and wasted trades to try and get it right.
Yeah, picking the top 3 fullbacks does seem tricky, but you don't necessarily have to have the best 3 fullbacks to be killing it. If you've got 3 of the best 4 or 5, and they're in the top 4 or 5 and they're all going pretty good, it's probably a better thing, if especially if they're firing, than only having 2 of them. Do you know what I mean? I think now, just especially with the head high send-off bin, it could be an opportunity for the fullbacks and the backs to sort of more open footy throughout the back and exploiting the mismatch in defence. So I think it's a great question though, because it hasn't worked out, and we thought that the do or die of whether you did well to start the season or whether you did bad to start the season was whether you went Yongi or whether you went 3-gun fullbacks. That's I think where we were sitting. It seemed like this is the make or break decision, and it's worked out that we've both done the opposite. And
it's funny because anyone I saw with like a forward in their flex, I'd be like,
what's this guy
doing?
You're
nuts. You're nuts.
Yeah.
Payne Haas in the flex position would have been perfect.
Great idea, yeah.
He's currently my flex at the moment because I sold Callum Ponga. I sold Callum Ponga to him.
Yeah.
And I don't regret that at all. I got him into my side. He's an elite scoring player. I'll move him into my front row, and then I'll be able to sell Jack Williams or Tom Gilbert next week.
Yeah.
Tom Trbojevic is out of my side this week. I'm trading him to someone else, not to a third fullback, because I've only got 2. I'm not rushing to get 3 because, we just read out all their options. There's no slam dunk. There's no slam dunk option. I think there's a lot of, I think Elias Katoa is a real hot property.
Nice,
that I think we've got to start considering soon. We've got Isaiah Yeo potentially leading up. I know you want to get rid of him. But there's also Jaden Campbell, who I think is a good. He is available at fullback, by the way.
Yep.
But I initially bought him in my flex and then moved him up to 5'8". So I think there are a lot of ways to go about it. If you're forcing yourself into 3-gun fullbacks, I personally don't think there's 3-gun fullbacks firing at the moment. I think at the start of the year, they were all fit until the Latrell injury, and then that kind of threw a spanner in the works. But when they're all fit, 3 fullbacks is a no-brainer for me.
Yeah.
But when there's times like this, Turbo's injured, Walsh is not really performing that well, Latrell's coming back from injury, Ponga has a tough draw, I think it's very viable to not have 3-gun fullbacks. Yeah. And even at this point of the year, in seasons past, the 2-gun fullbacks is even like, do I need to have 2 fullbacks this week? You can go without it for a week or 2.
A little bit, yeah.
But I think the flex, if you've got 3-gun fullbacks in there, you've really got to make sure you're really confident in them.
Yeah, I know. Just the fact that we've all got these forwards that are all going well now, I don't think we need to necessarily find more forwards. You know what I mean? We've got a good foundation of forwards that are consistent for us. And although, it hasn't really been working out that the fullbacks have been going that great yet. I think that can change and it will change.
Yeah.
So rather than just sort of, if you think that that's not going to, change yet, and maybe go with, something like that. And I think to his, question, you don't have to be using it for 3-gun fullbacks. It's a useful tool to be able to, like he said, just bring in who you kind of need. And I don't mind the idea of using it as, rotating the highest
I don't mind
BE
it
for the
either.
next one. But you can also just use it to temporarily bring in a guy for a week or two until another guy you want to sell. And it just allows you to move the pieces and play a bit more chess, you know what I mean? A bit more strategy in a lot of way. I like the flex for that aspect.
100%.
But yeah, I'm gonna be going the 3 guns pretty soon.
You're gonna go 3 guns pretty soon.
Soon. For me, it's just I was gonna consider getting rid of Yongi yet, but I'm just gonna give him a little bit more.
Yeah.
But that's the way I'm going in a week or two.
100%. I like it. All right. Hot topics of the week, and Tom Jenkins leads the Cheapie list. He's been named at centre wing. He has a break-even of -90. He's scored 90 and 80 in the first 2 weeks. Slam dunk, Cheapie.
Yeah, minus negative 90 BE.
Yep.
In a great side that are struggling at the moment, but they're still sort of scoring points, especially even when they get behind, they start putting the attack on and playing a bit wild. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it frees up so much cash. It allows us to do all the moves we need to do. It's just probably a matter of who do we sell in our sides to get him is probably going to be the biggest stress, because for a lot of us, I think it's Jesse Arthurs. I kind of wish I didn't get Tui Pelotu last week and just held on to Skelton. That way I could have sold Skelton to him and held Arthurs this week.
Yep.
Because I think Arthur's BE is not that big. What is it, like 40, 50-ish?
Yep.
Yeah. And I just think there's still more to come. We kind of put a line through him last week because Shibasaki's the man now. But that was in a wet game of footy, and in the wet game of footy, they hit the centres, they hit the second rowers a lot more than it actually getting to the winger, because the wing, are going to get dragged, especially a small body like Jesse Arthurs. If they try to chance it with him, they're going to throw him into touch in the wet real easy. So I just think it's just, this week, next week, the draws are great. I think he can score more points, and I'm really reluctant to sell him. So for me, it's now between Ali Leotawa, who has a bye this week, then goes into Melbourne in another tough game. But I kind of like Ali as a pod.
Yep.
So, yeah, big decision for me there. And I think a lot of other people have some tough decisions to make in who to sell, because there is a bit more to go in Arthurs. But the reason I'm prepared to let Arthurs go is, as much as he's got a bit more cash to make, and I think he's still good and playable because he'll have some good points in him, a couple of 70s, 90s with a few tries there, he's still going to get those 20s, 30s sort of games, and they might hurt you if you have a couple more 20s or 30s in that week. Although we do have the flex, you don't want too many of those in a week. So maybe that's where I'm feeling okay with selling him, just because the floor's there, and I don't want to cop those low ones either, as much as I think there's a little bit more money to be made.
He's made 160K. He has scores of 94, 96, 62, and 37. I think the reason I'm selling is because I am selling. He has scores of 94 and 96 in the first 2 weeks. I don't think he can replicate that for a 2-week period, or get 150 and a 50 in consecutive weeks, average that over 2 weeks. I think he's generated the peak amount of cash. Yeah, he could make another price rise, but then the 62 goes out of his average and the 37 is first. So I think if you're expecting bulk cash, you really need a lot to go your way.
Yeah, it's not just the cash. I also think he's still very playable.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah, I do think he's got that upside there with that left-hand side and the
Yes.
Broncos. They're a gun side, and he's got more tries in him. But
also,
I'm prepared to let him go.
Yeah, and making 300K by doing that trade is very.
Oh, it's not that I wouldn't sell Arthurs and pass on Jenkins. That was never. I'm always getting Jenkins. It's just a matter of could I sell someone else and hold on to Arthurs.
He has the Tigers, the Roosters, and the Warriors in the next 3 weeks. So he's got a pretty good draw. But then after that, the Dogs, Penrith, and the Rabbitohs, and then St. George. So I think that's... And then Manly. So pretty tough.
Next 3 weeks are good. If you want to hold him, you can do it, and you've got other ways to do it.
The next 3 weeks are good. I don't think he loses heaps of cash over the next 3 weeks. So, I mean, if you don't have to do it, I wouldn't. And he'd be a nice little play. But I guess it takes us on to our next hot topic, Shibasaki. If you don't have Shibasaki in your side, is it too late to jump on? He is at 408K, but his break even is massive, and he's got the 116 in his rolling average.
Hard to say. Like, he does look really, really good, and obviously the Broncos looking great too, scoring pretty decent. There was that one game that I think he didn't score as well, but I don't know. Like, if you need to free up cash, I don't think he's someone you have to get in there. Like, he's going to make decent money still. But at 400K, it's kind of a little bit awkward. If you're only going to get one of Jenkins or Shibasaki, I'd definitely be getting Jenkins because he frees up more money.
His break-even is lower too.
Yeah, and it's not like he's going to be, I don't think he's going to be scoring too many hundreds, to be fair.
Yeah.
I think it just, that game, they still want to play a bit of attack, but it was going to hit him and not get out to Jesse Arthurs more often than not. I think Ben Hunt probably does cut him out.
But that's,
in the dry.
also because of the wet.
Yeah, so I don't think he's a must-have if you're sitting there going, I'd rather do these other moves this week, but I don't want to miss out on Shibasaki. I don't think he's one of those guys, that it's like points-wise, I don't think you have to be looking at it.
Yeah,
I think most weeks we should probably still be going, should I be playing him or should leaving him out? I don't think he's a set and forget play now just because he's had two big ones in him.
Yeah, I think from the eye test
This week maybe against the Tigers, I'll probably play him.
From the eye test, it looks really good.
Yeah.
He is running at.
But then again, some players just have that little streak of form and it can just drop off too. This is a guy who's fighting for his position as well. You know what I mean? So now that he's kind of got it, maybe does it sort of, I don't know. I still think he's been very solid, so I'm not shitting on him at all.
Yeah.
Just don't think you have to do that. Yeah.
Yongi is one of the more traded out players for him. Would you sell Yongi for Jenkins?
Potentially. I think Yongi could have an okay game with a bit of attack in him this week against the Dragons, just because the Dragons are a bigger body side, and I think he's could use his smaller body to sort of his advantage in this to sort of get around him a bit. Yep. So I sort of would like to hold him a 1 or 2 weeks more and see if I can get that little big score out of him. But yeah, don't mind just passing on him because he's got way too many 20-30s and not to it's more the side that's holding him back. If he was in a better side, he'd have better attack.
Yep.
They're just not putting him in positions. They gave him one opportunity last week and nailed it. So he's very good close to the line with those cutout balls to the wingers.
Robert Toyer is very highly sold as well, 300K. I think he's got a lot more to give, to be honest.
Be holding on to these guys a little bit more, especially at that price. They've just got to have one good score.
We saw everyone went early on Jackson Purdue to go to Tamale.
Yeah.
And Jackson Purdue now is 350K with a negative 10 break even. So I think don't go early on these cheapies.
Maybe Toyer puts a move on Latrell. I know Latrell's pretty good defensively and stuff, but
he'll try and get the best of him, maybe. We'll see.
Who knows?
What do you trades this week?
So one is pretty locked in, and that'll be the Arthurs to Jenkins. Pretty sure I'm going to do Turbo to Pappy. So that'll have my fullbacks as Pappy, Gutho, and Yongi. Feels a little light with those Pappy and Gutho. Like they're not the big guns of the past.
Big dogs.
But at their price, with their draw, with the situations, I don't mind them there. Ponga, Latrell, the third one. Potentially these other guys, like potentially Gutho might be a 3-week play or something for me too. If he just sort of try assist drop off a bit. So I don't know which way. I'm keeping that all a bit open. So, but that I'm going Pappy. Third trade is the big decision. So, I could have brought in Tino this week, but for me to do that, I really would rather sell Hetherington. So if I'd rather not be going Jenkins, Tino, and Pappy. I just don't feel like it's enough attack. I feel like that's the Tino one because everyone's got him, and I do feel like if he doesn't score, it's just a 50. If he scores one try, I hope it's just an 80-ish like last week. He didn't have much tackle busts or offloads or anything last week, and I think to the Roosters' credit, they were very good at defending him. Victor Radley and even Nuffy White, they were wrapping their ball up. I hope that the Dolphins can do that. I don't know that they're that strong there. I'm a bit worried about that, and Gilbert not being there as well. But Gilbert missed 13 tackles, I think, last week, so maybe him not being there might be a good thing. I don't know.
He's a middle forward. Tino is a middle forward, so maybe the backs dominate this game, and he gets an early breather. Because I think if the game wasn't in the balance towards the end. He wouldn't come back on.
Yeah, and it's not that I'm thinking that, I feel like anyone looks at my team and go, this guy doesn't have Tinos. He doesn't know what he's doing. Like, it just hasn't worked out for me. Like, there's been bigger fish to fry, and now that he's already I didn't jump last week, I just think I could do some other things. Yeah. And I do think I can get to him later via a cheaper guy, or maybe I'll just there'll be an injury potentially to one of these other guys, and that'll be the answer.
Yep.
But third trade, probably going to be Metcalf to Munster or Campbell. And I can't decide because I really like the pedigree of Munster. I really like that the Storm side are just, as I keep rambling on about, I think they're just, I might start wearing a Storm jersey. I'm that hot on them. The Campbell thing, I've been a bit off him this season, just purely because I had him last year and he burnt me. But the reason I'm back on him is I was looking at selling Brimson last week, so I started going back watching all Brimson's games again, and I watched the trials from earlier in the year, and all I could notice was Jaden Campbell. I was looking to try and watch for Brimson going, how's he going? And he was going pretty good, but I couldn't help but notice how good. He's just everywhere. He's in everything. It's like he's touching a lot more, I think, than ever before. And he's running too. He's really running. And he's halfback too, because I was worried at halfback maybe that might hold him back a little bit, but he's not. He's still playing as a...
It surprised me he's second most traded in this week.
Yeah.
I got on him last week thinking, no one to jump for a while, but I think after the game looked better last week NRL-wise than it did SuperCoach-wise, and that's the worst thing if you're trying to hold on to a pod because people are just like, I've got him before that big score.
Yeah, so around last year, remember that 170?
Yep.
I want to show you an image that you can describe and share to the viewers at home. Okay.
Someone got sin-binned.
Yeah. So Jaden Campbell gets tipped up by one of the Warriors players, and they there's 28 minutes to go in that game, but it was 36-0 with 28 minutes to go. The game finished 66-0. Jaden Campbell scored 170. I just feel like this round, if there's he's that guy that he loves the eyes up footy and he's just so instinctual. He's carving up, and I feel like that could be a repeat of that.
Yep.
So I just feel like, as much as I know he's got the low ones in him, I feel like if anyone's got the high ones in him over this next month period, it could be him. And if you just get that 170 once, you can take the 60 there, the 45 that week, and maybe a 30.
You're getting Campbell.
I think so.
Yeah.
Because I think I can still get to Munster later via Brimson in a week or two still.
Yeah.
So I think that's the way I'm going. But, yeah, I think that's the way I'm going. That still leaves me about 290K in the bank. So I like that. And then I think I can make some pretty strong moves in following weeks without having to sort of take any hits to my side and selling guns like Garrick. The bloody bringing people that I have to sell. So, feeling pretty good about it. And look at me, being decisive.
Yes, I like it. Jaden Campbell is in. For trades for me, I am selling Tom Trbojevic. I'm also selling Jesse Arthurs for Tom Jenkins. I'm selling Tom Starling this week. I think.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
I think the Ricky roulette is going to start to take effect. I think Tom Starling is still a very good SuperCoach player.
Yeah.
And I'm happy with 50s, to be honest, at his price. But if I go...
Minutes have dropped down the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, 100%. And I think there's just going to... The 110 drops out of his average. I'm just happy to jump off now and sell him to Cleary. I saw Cleary last week as well. Yeah. I was selling Tommy for Ponga. And
having a reunion party for Ponga and Cleary. So welcome back, boys. Sorry about it.
Ponga and Cleary out last week. I wasn't expecting to get them in so quickly. Like, Ponga was going to come in a couple of weeks, but the Tommy injury has forced my hand.
Yeah.
So I'm just doing them two
and Cleary, you just thought, fuck, I better not. Yeah.
There is 2 alternative scenarios here. Yeah. Cleary goes to Hines. I'm not actually keen on Hines' draw over the next few weeks, so... I'm not sure how that's going to play out. Like GIO playing Canberra on Thursday night, I don't love, but it could also be like a bounce back game for the Sharks. Who knows? Ponga could be.
Okay, I've got something on Nico I don't mind. Can I just share it with you? Because I feel like the Raiders, I've always been, the Raiders are gritty, they're pretty gritty. They've been leaking a bit of points. They're not as good. They sort of were great in the first round. And Clifford scored 99 against the Raiders last week. DCE scored 105 the week prior. Reynolds 96. Metcalf had the 12, so we've got to flag the smaller ones too. But last 2 weeks, Clifford and DCE 105. I think it could be in for a big one still. You know, last week wet still, but he's looking good too. I was actually he was originally who I was going at the start of the round before. Then I switched to either Munster or because I was going to sell Turbo. I think to Pappy and then do. It was my flex was going to bring in Hines that way, sort of thing. So do Yongi, but I'm holding Yongi.
But because I had that cash to go up to Cleary, I was going to do it. Ponga could be Gutherson.
Yep.
Instead, because I like Gutherson's draw over the next 2 weeks. I don't love Ponga's draw, so I think they can wait. So I've actually live traded, and I had 117k left before when I got Cleary and Ponga.
Yep.
I've got Gutho and Hines. Guess how much cash I have left?
They're pretty close in price, aren't they?
111,000.
Oh, 111, yeah.
So I think that's the play I'm going to stick with. VC Hines, C Gutho potentially. Or maybe Jane Campbell goes in there. But I think this is me playing.
I feel like on paper that feels better than trading out 2 blokes last week and bringing them both back this week, especially bringing Ponga back for the Dogs.
Yeah, also Cleary's break-even's 150. So it's been in my mind just thinking.
Take the trash rise.
Can I just wait for him to...
If he scores 100, then he's not losing that much. You know what I mean?
But also,
and if he scores 150, you've missed the...
I have an avenue to get to him next week anyway through Luke Metcalf. Because I've got Dylan Brown in my halfback at the moment.
You do you, but I just don't... I wouldn't want to watch him after you've sold him last week. Just get him back, bro. I just think it's the best.
Against the Cowboys.
Yeah. What do you think? What, the Cowboys are now the powerhouse?
Cleary's never scored over 100 at CommBank Stadium. His
He's
high score is 89.
He's going to have to play there at least 7 times. I think they have 8 games there this year.
Exactly. So the form line and the history suggests that Cleary isn't going to score over 100. And against the Cowboys.
Well, I'm going to have him as my vice captain this week. Sorry to skip to what are you doing for captains. But he's going to be my vice captain. A good insurance one where if he does go massive, great. If he doesn't, because he's got the CommBank hoodoo, you reckon, then I'll rely on my captain.
He averages 83 versus the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Which isn't great.
I mean, I'm not super confident. It doesn't feel like it's just because the Panthers have actually, they've got to fix a few issues. They don't just come out and click it, you know what I mean? And maybe they do. Hopefully they do. But I'd like to think that Cleary's had a week off and he's sort of really stewing after 3 losses and we'll have a big one.
Yeah, maybe that's something.
I'm not trying to tell you what to do or talk into it, but I just sometimes when we're in this stage, you can start to just outthink things.
Yeah,
and I just think that it could be. I'd prefer you not to bring him in and just be in a better rank than you. I'm feeling good because we're sitting around the same spot. If I was sitting here in 44,000th and you were sitting in the top 200 again, I'd be like. Groundhog Day hard, eh? So welcome to my world, man, and thank you for that. We'll climb back together. Thanks
I
for
think I
for
might
waiting
go the
for
Hines route because just Hines is more of a pod as well compared to Cleary. Cleary's more highly owned, so pretty happy to go.
No, you do you because I do think that he's got great potential to do. I don't think I'm not saying Cleary outscores Hines. And then so especially our flag that Clifford had a big 100, 105 for DCE.
Yep.
Against Canberra. They're a better side.
Yep.
And
Sharks coming off a
loss as well.
So Penrith, I guess, but yeah, maybe that's something I'll just have to.
Raiders also coming off a loss too, so they're both 2-2.
That's something I'll have to.
And coming off a loss, so big game for the Raiders and Sharkies.
Yeah, it's something I'll have to account for during the week. Speaking of account. Do you have an accountant?
Carl McGrath.
Do you have an accountant?
Yeah, man. Tax time's coming up not too far away, the financial year. So, yeah, pretty excited to see if I can get my tax done. And because last year I got the student loans, but I've been contributing more towards my student loans throughout the year now. So hopefully I do get a tax return.
Oh, well, if you do get one, get Carl to do your tax
Oh, man,
return.
I'm already signed up, mate.
He will legally maximize your tax refund, whether it's a basic tax return or accounting for things like rental properties, capital gains, or share trading or crypto trading. Carl can help you out in record everything correctly. No job is too big or small. If you have a small individual tax return, right through to business, run through company, partnership, or trust, or even self-managed super funds, Carl can help you out. He is a remote person that you can just do your tax over Zoom or whatever from the comfort of your own home. He's a super coacher, so talk super coach with you. For listener to the podcast, he has a special offer, $110 for a basic tax return. And even if it is more complicated, mention the show, you can get it for a cheaper price. He has an overall league code, which I haven't jumped in yet. Probably should, because the winner of that.
I have to get him to add me too. I've sort of maxed out and I have to do the...
How annoying is it being an expert? Yeah. Do you feel like you're
I
a
like
fraud?
it. I like it.
I love having a photo.
Yeah.
But I hate...
I didn't like the first photo they put up of me. It was the photo they used when I won. I had the worst home. I did
it was like...
myself, yeah. And I looked, I'd just been, hadn't seen any sun for so long. I just was like...
Oh, that was you
completely
inside.
malnourished. Yeah, he's like hiding away, hibernating, just doing SuperCoach for a year. And then came outside for a photo. So I asked him to, do one that was a little bit sprucier for me.
I remember when you won SuperCoach, my daughter was getting born. And it was funny. The other day, someone told me my daughter has not witnessed Penrith losing. And so they're
she probably hasn't really even witnessed them winning, though. She's got no idea what's going on, does she?
But,
I know
it's all a
you mean.
universe thing. So maybe it's why she's so upset lately.
Yeah,
Maybe just because she's a girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, did you see the video I put up on the weekend?
Yeah, it was good. She was cute in it. Yeah.
Did you see?
Daddy silly.
Yeah. Did you see? Have you seen what the parody of that was?
I had no idea what it was. I'm not up with the times.
I saw you liked it, and I was like, I bet you he doesn't even know what I'm doing, because there's this guy on the internet that every day he does like his routine for the day.
Yep.
He pours ice into a bowl, and he like wets his face, and he does all this like basic white girl shit.
Yeah.
And he's not white. He's quite dark actually, but he like his life just looks so bougie but boring. Like, and all the comments are like, bro gets ready, gets up early to get gets ready all day or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what it was copying, and I did it in a SuperCoach way. But the tipping point, today we have 4 players, and we have a little special edition. 4 players: Tom Jenkins, Latrell Mitchell, Ryan Papenhuyzen, Jaden Campbell, and the amount of sin bins that will happen over the weekend. I want to change. You're getting in Papenhuyzen. Can I take out Latrell Mitchell and let's put in Gutho?
Yeah, if you want to. I don't mind what you do.
Do you have Gutho?
Yes.
I'm getting in Gutho. So, and I think Gutho is going to be a popular captain option this week. So, let's start with Tom Jenkins against the Cowboys running at Viliami Valia's edge. We'll start the bidding at 35 points.
I'll go over 35, go to 40.
I'll go over 40. I'll go over 45.
I'll go to 50.
You go to 50. I will go over 55.
I'll go over 56.
I'll go under 56.
All right.
So Jenkins under 56. Clint Gutson versus Parramatta Eels. 3 p.m. on Saturday. Gutho's in my side.
Where are you starting him at, man?
Starting him at 85.
Okay, I'll go to 90.
I'll go to 95.
I'll go to 108.
I'll go under 108.
Really?
Do I death ride him and just not get him? Ryan Papenhuyzen versus the Manly Sea Eagles, 4 o'clock Sunday. We'll start at 75. Oh, is that high? Is that too high?
I don't mind. I can go up or down.
Okay.
I'll go to over 81.
I'll go under 81. Did you see, actually, last week it came down to the last day where Cherry Evans. I needed over 95 for Cherry Evans.
Yeah.
It didn't hit, and the score was even. So that means you won that last leg. But then Ryan Papenhuyzen updated or downdated, can I say, from 83 to 65. The line was 80.
Hurts.
I ended up winning.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I would have done better had it been dry. We didn't know it was the weather then, but that's my fault for not doing any research into the conditions.
But it's also both of our faults for not doing that. Like that's something I just didn't consider.
You got any idea what the weather's going to be like this weekend? I'm just going
23,
on
24.
It's good?
Yeah, 23, 24, 0 rain.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so it's going to be a big scoring weekend.
Beautiful.
Jaden Campbell versus the Dolphins, 5:30.
Yep. Where do you want to start him?
75.
Oh. I'll be happy. I'll take 75, even though. Fuck.
I'll go over 85.
Yeah, I'll go over 85.
Oh, come on. I thought you were going to go under.
No, I'll go 88. Over 88.
I'll go over 90.
Kicking, he scored 44 points in goals last time. I'm not saying he can do it again, but he kicked 11 from 11 goals.
Well,
in that
against
game.
the Warriors?
Yeah.
You think about his highest score ever.
Yeah, I know. I'm just, I know. Oh, I want to go under, hey, but because I'll go under, what 90?
90.
Yeah, I'll go under 90.
So that makes me
You still got to do a lot of good things to get to 90.
And Simbins.
Simbins, where you starting the line at?
We'll start at 5.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll go. Over 6.
I'll go over 8.
I'll go under 8.
Yeah, okay.
Won a game? Yeah, well, so what's 8? We draw basically then, eh? Because you're over 8, I'm under 8.
Oh, true, because it can be
8. Yeah, so we do 0.5. No, we'll just leave it at that.
Because the scores can be exactly
a draw too, but just leaves it because it's a smaller number.
Yeah.
It's more.
No, it's okay. If it's a draw, that's part of the theatre.
Yeah.
Captains.
So vice captain probably Cleary and captain probably Gutho. Yeah, I don't know that there would be any other way I'd go about it. I did consider maybe Pappy and Gutho as combos, like vice captain, captain. But yeah, I think I'll just go with the matchups of Cleary versus Cowboys and then the para matchup for Gutho.
Yeah, I think I'm going VC Hines, C Gutho. It's funny because
So who were you bringing? You were originally bringing
I was bringing Cleary and Ponga.
Cleary and Ponga, and now you're going
Gutho,
Hines and Gutho. Yeah.
But my VC would have been Cleary. Actually, my VC probably would have been Jaden Campbell still.
Yeah, I can't. You know, you've changed in 20 minutes, but like on the podcast last week, I was bringing in 3 or 4 players, which were just want to flag that. There'll be people at home going when we brought in Gutho and CT. So I was going to bring in either Tino, 3 of these 4: Tino, Munster, Hines, and Pappy last week. But the weather just changed everything. I thought the attack's not going to be there, so I was bringing the others in for points. And I thought if the points are all the same and nothing changes, I'll target the guys I think I want to bring in for next week and just sort of take what I get out of them this week, as in last week for Gutho and CT. So that's why I wasn't too worried about that, and because I didn't want to pay more for them this week as well. So that's why I changed with that. And of those guys, Tino, Munster, Hines, and Pappy, I think all 4 were potentially coming to my side, but definitely 3 or 4, and one of them's coming in this week in Pappy. So just wanted to flag that so it doesn't look like I'm just trying to smoke some mirrors.
All right, sounds good. All right, that's it for the week. Good luck with your SuperCoach this week, and the Q&A podcast will be out on Wednesday. Cool. Cheers. Yeah.